If you're following on from the last video, I've made one or two changes. No code changes or no new code. All I've done is make sure that I haven't got leg there, or age is greater than 90 there, or a database mistake, so that I know that I'm getting my data back and not the error message. We will have a look at the error messages shortly. We're going to look now at Python. We're going to talk to our endpoint, our API, using Python. If you think back, I mean, so far we've got about 5 hours worth of videos, if you've been following the series, that you've watched. And really, the end result is, what, 40 lines of code? It's not a great deal, 40 lines of code and a very small database put together to perform our API. So you've got about, what, half an hour's worth of coding here. You can use this as a sort of template. So if you need to change your database and have a different kind of database, this template's going to work for it. You're just going to have to change sort of the field names in your database, what you're using, but very little else. The majority of it is going to stay the same. So really, for half an hour's coding, we've got quite a lot. However, we do need to sort of get the data back and manipulate the data and play with it somehow. Whatever your project is, all I'm going to show you is how to get the data back, what the data is, and how to communicate with it. Don't really have any intention of doing anything with the data. Perhaps another series on what to do with APIs would show you how to do that. I just want to show you the code that you need as a basic template to perform these actions. So we're going to go over into Python, and I've already been over there and changed a file. Let me see, Python 2.7, getting the GUI working. Right, if I go for a recent file, it's the one that we had before. We've used this all the way along. The only thing that I've changed is the fact that I've changed the file, the endpoint, to be exactly the same one that we've been working on. So I'm going to run this program. We created it before. Like I say, I've just changed the address, nothing more, and see what we get. So when I run it, I get the data back, and the data matches the data. Let's see if I can move things out of the way. The data here matches the data that's returned in the web page. So in reality, we've got two different ways of returning the data and two ways of playing with it. I'm interested in the Python version. The important part here is that the data is formatted. So when we were in PHP, we created an array, and that array had array elements, so it was quite a complex structure. And then we encoded it into JSON, sent it to our program, and when we read it in our program, actually all we've got is a string. It's just printing out a string. There is no structure in here whatsoever. And actually, that was a print statement. If I just let's get my Python file. If I just do this, my data on the shell, because it's stored in the Python shell, we get to look at it a little bit differently. So I've just typed my data and press enter, and there's just a slight difference to the one that was printed out here. Okay, you might be able to see, if I highlight the same amount of text there, you might see that there is a quote at the start and a quote at the end, indicating that the whole thing is a string. That's not very good for our purposes. We're going to have to try and get the data. As a starting point for one of your projects, if you were going to write a JSON parser, this is perfect. So this could be the start of one of many projects. So for the entire 5 hours, you could just ignore that and start at this point and look at one or two projects that might suit you, such as an API handler or a JSON parser. anything from this point onwards will help you with that respect. So that's the introduction to what I'm going to be doing. There's going to be a fair amount. We're going to be changing some of the PHP files. We're going to change how we send data. We're going to use post. We're going to use get, all from Python. And once we've understood how to do that in Python, we'll probably take a look at how to do that in any device.